And as far as coming back, the opponent, Buckley just seems to be the guy available. He's, he's willing to talk and he's willing to kind of do all of the things that I wasn't necessarily super fond of in my career. At some point, I got grown to understand it. I grew to understand it, but I wasn't too fond of it. But Buckley is in a place now where he really relishes in that and he likes it, and so it makes the fight a little bit more entertaining. It makes it a little bit nice. But for me, I would say coming back, my order would have been Sean Brady now is number one, fighting him, and then um, fighting for the title. But Sean Brady doesn't seem to be interested in that fight. So, the next best guy was Buckley that was available. So, yeah, we go with him.
I would kind of look at it as I don't really think it truly matters in the sense of I think whoever you fight, as long as you win, you're going to fight for a title next. Is that kind of how you feel?
Yeah, I for sure. But I don't want to just win and fight for the title. It's that thing of we understand that TKO is a entertainment company, and so it's that you want to go out there, you want to fight, you want to look your best, you want to look entertaining to where it's everything's a sell. The more money you can bring in, potentially the more money you could ask for. And
Hmm.
I understand that now at this part of my career. Early on, you probably didn't understand that, but now I understand that. So, yeah, I think it didn't really matter whether it was Brady or whether it's Buckley, but Buckley's available. He's willing to do the legwork to get the fight and make it exciting. So, yeah, we went with him.
What are your thoughts on Belal? And I got to be honest, I didn't really know that there was this. I don't know how you're going to feel about me bringing this up to you here on camera, but there's a is there some rumor or some like questioning over did you go after him on a podcast set or something? Am I behind the news cycle on this?
No,
the
there's a
background, the past with you and Bilal?
no, there's allegedly a lot of speculation. A lot of things being said. No, it's Bilal's a guy that I never really, he was always around, and I never really took paid attention to because I was doing what I needed to do to get the. I was always fighting the next guy up, next guy up. I didn't really pay attention to Bilal, and um, but now I'm forced to actually look at Bilal. He's not bad. He's just good everywhere. So and that's been working. That's worked for him. So he's not bad. I'm not never in any way discrediting that. I think once I was forced to pay attention to him, I started to kind of see the antics that goes on outside of the cage, and I was never that guy. I wasn't. If I was champion and the next guy up was barking at me, and then of course I would respond, all right, and then we get in there and we'd settle it. But Bilal just seems to be a different type of champion who he's willing to make memes and he's willing to get on Twitter and social media because he wants the attention. He craves that attention. Even if you're a lightweight, even if you're a guy that's a flyweight that's not even in his division, he's willing to have that back and forth with you. And for me, I just find it a little bit distasteful, and I wasn't a part of it. And then once, yeah, like I said, he became champion. He started to come at me with that energy. It was like, oh, you have a problem with me? Well, if you have a problem, I don't really do play the internet game. Let's talk it out. And so, yeah, we invited him on a podcast, and it went how it went. That's all I could say. Eventually, hopefully, we'll release that podcast because it wasn't really. He was only there for like maybe 10 minutes. It wasn't really long, and then it was over, and he left. But
Hmm.
yeah, that was about it. But I mean, he's fighting what this coming weekend, so you know, I'm sure he's focused on that, and I'm focused on my fight June 14th with
For,
Joaquin Buckley.
for sure. Does it rise to the level of if you guys were like backstage at a UFC event that neither of you were competing on, the security would be need to be aware of where you are? Does it like rise to that level?
Probably.
Wow.
Yeah, because I would say I say that only because obviously I'm very level headed and especially when I'm outside of the cage. But for the last almost 2 years now, year and a half, I haven't been in the thick of it. There's a thing. There's a transition when you're not in it, because I'm and people can't. They expect us to be these fighters and we're always on go mode, to where when I'm outside of the cage, people are like, "Why are you so calm? You're a scary fighter." But I'm not like that. And so when you're in the thick of it, you're on alert all the time. And even me and George St. Pierre, we had this conversation where he expressed that to me. He's like, when you're in it, you're always this defensive guy. And I hadn't been that for a while, but now that I'm back in the thick of it, yeah, you probably have to have security back there with us.
You know, UFC's welterweight division has kind of been like a division defined by eras, and to an extent, a lot of these divisions have, but maybe I think welterweight even more, because you got Hughes, then GSP, then Woodley, then yourself, and of course that there were champions in between, but those were pretty strong, definable eras. Do you think Belal is capable of that type of era? Not trying to talk any type of trash, like you look at his game, is he capable of that type of era?
I think so. I think so, because in order to really kind of have a strong hold on a division, you have to be good enough everywhere. In the divisions where you see kind of it just change hands over and over and over, there's usually the champions usually lacking some sort of skill. And when you look at a guy like Matt Hughes, he could wrestle, he could grapple, he could catch you and submit you, but he could also stand with you. And then you see a new young guy like George, to where he added fine tuning and different elements to that, to where he could find a way to out wrestle you, can find a way to out jab you, can find a way to out kick you and out grapple you. And then myself come in to where you find a way where I could definitely dominate on the ground. I could not just outstrike, I can put power on you too and potentially get you out of there. And, you know, and now Belal is in the place where he can kind of do everything pretty good. You know, we haven't really seen his punching power. But now that he's champion, give him time to potentially work on being confident in that aspect. We might be able to see it. And so, yeah, I think there's potential, but that's only defined if you are able to get through all these different kind of guys, like myself, like a Buckley, like what's his name that's about to fight Gilbert, like an Ian Gary, so, and Shavkat Rakhmonov. If you are able to get through these different types of challenges, then you can kind of say you've made built a nice little legacy for yourself.